The discovery of Lydia. Lydia had always dreamed of a fairy tale wedding. She envisioned her big day surrounded by love, laughter, and joy. After a whirlwind romance, she married Samuel, a charming man who swept her off her feet with his charisma and passion. Friends and family celebrated their union, and for the first few days of their marriage, Lydia felt like she was living in a dream. However, as the honeymoon phase began to fade, Lydia started to notice subtle changes in Samuel's behavior. At first, she brushed them off, attributing them to the stresses of newlywed life. But as the days turned into weeks, the unease settled in her heart, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. On one particular evening, Lydia decided to surprise Samuel by preparing his favorite dinner. As she set the table and lit candles, she heard him on the phone in the other room. Curiosity got the better of her, and she quietly approached the doorway to listen. "Yeah, I'll figure it out. I just need more time," Samuel said, his voice tense. Lydia's breath caught in her throat. Panic washed over her as she realized that something significant was happening, something he was keeping from her. Confrontation. When Samuel returned to the dining room, he smiled at the sight of the table. But Lydia couldn't ignore the worry bubbling inside her. "Who were you talking to on the phone?" she asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside.
Samuel hesitated, the smile fading slightly. "Just a work colleague," he replied, avoiding her gaze. Lydia wasn't convinced. "You can tell me anything, Samuel. Is there something you're not sharing with me?" His expression shifted, and for a moment, Lydia saw vulnerability in his eyes. "It's complicated, Lydia. I promise I'll explain soon, but right now, let's just enjoy dinner." But Lydia couldn't shake the feeling of unease. As they ate, she could hardly focus on the food, her mind racing with questions. What was he hiding? Why was he so evasive?
The investigation. Determined to uncover the truth, Lydia decided to do some digging. She began by checking Samuel's belongings when he left for work the next morning. As she rummaged through his drawer, she found a small notebook filled with names, numbers, and various financial notes. Among the pages were several entries that looked suspicious, indicating large sums of money owed. Her heart sank. "What is this?" she murmured to herself. Lydia knew that Samuel had always spoken about his ambition to start a business, but this felt different, more like a web of secrets. Later that day, she found an envelope tucked beneath the notebook. Inside was a letter addressed to Samuel from a law firm, discussing overdue payments and threatening legal action if debts weren't settled. The truth revealed. By the time Samuel returned home that evening, Lydia had gathered her thoughts and was ready for a confrontation. When he walked through the door, she faced him, notebook and letter in hand. "Samuel, we need to talk," she said firmly. His expression changed as he took in the sight of the documents. "Lydia, I can explain." "Explain what?" "That you've been hiding debts from me. That you're in some kind of trouble," she interrupted, hurt and betrayed. Samuel ran a hand through his hair, the weight of his secret evident on his face. "I didn't want to worry you. I thought I could handle it on my own. I was planning to tell you, but I just..." "You thought you could handle it on your own?" Lydia's voice wavered. "We are married, Samuel. We are supposed to share everything, good and bad." "I know, and I'm sorry. I didn't want you to see me as a failure," he pleaded. "The business didn't take off as I'd hoped. I borrowed money to try to keep it afloat, and now I don't know how to pay it back." The aftermath. In that moment, Lydia felt a whirlwind of emotions, anger, sadness, betrayal, but also a flicker of compassion. Samuel was clearly struggling, and part of her wanted to help him through this. "Why didn't you trust me enough to tell me?" she asked softly, tears brimming in her eyes. We could have faced this together. I didn't want to burden you, he confessed, his voice breaking. I thought you'd leave me if you knew the truth. Lydia took a deep breath, processing the weight of his confession. You're my husband, Samuel. We're a team. We need to face this together.
A path forward. After a long discussion filled with tears and honest conversation, they began to devise a plan to tackle Samuel's debts. Lydia realized that love meant facing challenges together, no matter how daunting. They met with a financial advisor to discuss the situation and develop a repayment plan. Lydia also offered to help Samuel find new clients for his business, leveraging her own skills and connections.
With time, patience, and teamwork, Lydia and Samuel navigated through the tough times. Their relationship deepened as they faced adversity together, and they learned that vulnerability could strengthen their bond rather than weaken it. A new beginning. 2 months after that fateful confrontation, Lydia looked back on their journey with a mix of pride and relief. Though their marriage had started with unexpected revelations, it blossomed into something far more profound than she had ever imagined. They had learned to communicate openly, and Samuel was more transparent about his business dealings. Lydia found joy in helping him rebuild his dreams, and together they forged a new path. Lydia realized that marriage wasn't just about the joyful moments, but also about facing challenges head-on. With each hurdle, their love grew stronger, and the experience taught them the true meaning of partnership. In the end, Lydia's discovery, though initially painful, had transformed their relationship into a more profound and resilient bond. They faced the world together, ready for whatever came next, hand in hand, united in their love and commitment.